Like, I think those 4 are like the sins, right? You don't ever want to get those 4. These stages are never fun. That stage ain't fun. This stage ain't fun. This stage ain't fun. That stage is definitely not fun. These are stages that you play because there's a gun to your head. Those are the only time you want to play those stages. That's it. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Lord KO here. I know it's been a little bit of time since we had some Dissidia NT content on the channel, about 4 months or so. Last week we had a pretty excellent stream with some community members in the Discord and on Twitter, talking about all the stages in Dissidia NT, specifically ranking them, right? Which ones are good, which ones are bad. And there was a lot of great conversation had, specifically, you know, some insights regarding what people thought were good and what people thought were really bad. You know what I mean? A lot of people actually managed to change my opinion on a few of those. So we chopped that up and that'll be today's video. We ranked them from best to worst, all the stages, and really good justification for all of them, you know, why they landed where they landed and stuff like that. Obviously, this is one of the longest videos ever produced on the channel. I did leave timestamps for each different stage within the description below. Feel free to jump around. As always, if you're new here, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. It definitely does help with the video algorithm. Make sure you comment. I want to hear what you guys have to say about where your stages kind of fell at. That's one thing that's always pretty interesting to kind of hear your guys' feedback as well. So if you'd like to be part of these conversations going forward, feel free to jump in our Discord. Link will be below. If you'd like to see this live, the next thing we'll be doing is the top 5 things that the next Dissidia needs. We'll be doing that live on stream. So if you'd like to join the discussion for that, feel free to follow me over on Twitch. The link for that will be in the description below. And without further ado, let's talk about all Dissidia NT stages ranked now. So first stage, of course, is Cornelia. So for reference, for people that haven't played on this stage in a while, this is what this stage looks like. It's a big ass fucking field. It's actually quite visually appealing. I think the stage actually looks pretty good. It's one of the better stages for sure. So as a reminder, these are going to be the metrics that we're going to be kind of grading this on. Number 1 is going to be maneuverability, how you can move around this stage. You know, can you move around this stage in a way that isn't like cumbersome and stuff like that? Or is it like complete just like shit? And then the second one's going to be obstacles. You know, are there fucking issues on the stages, you know, like those ledges, cliffs, shit like that. And number 3 is going to be the size, right? So Cornelia, like a lot of people really dislike Cornelia, and they'll go so far as to actually try and like start scrims like backwards. Like they'll just like go to doing Final Battlefield first because they don't want to play at all on Cornelia. Now, I don't think it's quite that bad. Like I don't think it's that bad at all. I think it's, in my opinion, I don't mind playing on Cornelia. The only time I hate playing on Cornelia is like against like really like tower comps, like real like Golbez, fucking Cloud of Darkness, and like a Lightning or some shit, like, or like a Barch or something like that. 3 characters that have really strong projectile games. Like I wouldn't want to play Cornelia on that because it's just like it's hard to get in. And it takes some time to really grind away at the neutral to be able to get in on Cornelia. So Cornelia, guys, let me know what you think. Where are we putting Cornelia at? I think Cornelia, for me, I don't have that hatred that a lot of people have for it. That my big thing with Cornelia is your team has to really be aware. Like it really comes down to mini map. Like, are you reading your mini map? Do you know where your teammates are? You know what I mean? In relation to you, that becomes more critical on small stages like that. So I don't have like this great like hate for it. I don't have the ire for it that a lot of people have, honestly. Let me see what the chat says. Definitely active field stage. Yes, I agree. Obstacles, Alexandria, you're gone. And with Cornelia, people for some reason start off in the tree section. Yeah, the trees I think is the worst part for sure. The stage is, number 1, way too big. And the trees are just something else. It does kind of give you like different dynamics like to play in, but like if you get cut off in the trees, it's a really, really bad situation. You know what I mean? So you'd say Cornelia. So Nabani has Cornelia at A and Gaiden has it at a B. And I was kind of somewhere in between there. I was kind of like a B plus. Like I don't have like that burning hatred that a lot of people have for it. I think it's fine. I don't mind playing on Cornelia. Like, because I feel like if you get fucked on Cornelia, like your whole team failed you. You know what I mean? It wasn't just you. It was like your whole team failed. because it's a big ass stage. So if you got isolated, you kept rotating incorrectly, your teammates were not rotating correctly, bad awareness. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a fine stage. It's way too fucking big though. I vote B, no like or hate. Yeah, that's fair enough. I think B for Cornelia is completely fine. I think maneuverability on is fine because most of it's flat surface. You know what I mean? There's like that little phantom rock that's on the stage as well as the trees, obviously. So it's not that bad. I think for the most part, you have a pretty level playing field. You know what I mean? Obstacles, not that bad. Overall size, entirely too fucking big, I think. I'm gonna put Cornelia at a B. I'm completely fine with putting it at a B. I don't think it's A tier because A tier is a stage I want to see actually. All right, so moving on to the second stage. So this is fucking Pandemonium. So Pandemonium is going to be a little bit of a mixed bag for people too. This is another stage that is entirely too fucking big. Like, it's just way too big. So there's a couple things that come into it, you know, when the stage is too big, you know, like what exactly are its merits, you know, at that point, you know what I mean? So let's start with this. Maneuverability, I think this stage probably has some of the best maneuverability in my opinion, because you have these huge planes, you know what I mean? Like every character can perform well here, except maybe characters that like shoots that don't have like Search Braves. There's going to be situations where you can't help your team without pressing square. And there's only a few like marksmen that fall into that category. But like if you get down into, you see the little crevices and stuff like that there, that's going to be a bit of a problem, you know, when it comes to this stage. This is another stage where team rotation is going to be critical, right? Being able to rotate properly with your team. And if you don't, then you just get pretty much manhandled because you get separated so easily. There's a lot of walls here, so it's really easy to wall rush people here as well. So I just think I don't think it's a bad stage. I'm not in love with it though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't love this stage. I'd actually be fine with putting it over in like C category. I think there's like, these two are actually between B. These are like C pluses. You know, I don't know if these are Bs. Like, if you gave this like a C plus, if you gave either one of these stages a C plus, I wouldn't even be mad, because I don't think they're like, I don't necessarily think that they are Bs. Maybe Pandemonium is, no, actually I think Pandemonium's a B and Cornelia is a C actually. Because when I think of those two maps, I definitely personally like Pandemonium way more. Like if I had to pick to choose between both of them, I would definitely rather play on Pandemonium first, because going to Cornelia, I know I have to play a very specific way on Cornelia. Like, you have to. If you don't want to fucking die, especially at the higher level, like, you're just gonna fucking die, because you're just gonna get split up and die. On Pandemonium, it's a bigger stage with more verticality, I feel. Not verticality, ceiling, but it's more punishing for sure because there's walls everywhere in Pandemonium. So I like Pandemonium more. I'm actually going to move Pandemonium to B, and we're going to move Cornelia down to C. So next map, Floating Continent, is probably top 5 stages for me, honestly. Floating Continent's like top 5 stages for me. I really like the stage. And you know, I never really heard anybody like sing its praises, but I've never really heard people like shit on it and like really like go in on like, oh, I don't want to play on fucking Floating Continent. Like, I've never heard that either, but I've never heard anybody say, oh yeah, we got Floating Continent, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you feel like that. You're like, oh, I got this stage, it's over, dog. Like, this is autopilot now. I kind of feel like it's a fair and balanced stage. You know what I mean? It has some dumbass rock placement. I think this one probably gets a bit more hits than other stages, because when it comes to obstacles, because it just has some dumbass obstacles. Like, it has rocks for no reason that you can demolish, but it just doesn't make any sense that there exists, you know? I'd say aesthetically pleasing and nothing wrong with it. A B or an A. Yeah, I'm more inclined to like, this is gonna be pretty high for me. And I understand if it's not high for a lot of people, but so maybe the one thing I would say about Floating Continent is that I feel like there's a lot of momentum shifts on this one. Like, even though it doesn't feel like a interdimensional rift or 8 or anything like that, I feel like momentum shifts really, really quickly on that stage because the stage isn't that big. So you can move from like really quick from target to target, and you can really push that momentum as fast as you need to. So floating continent, I think, yeah, an S for me. And I know that's like blasphemous to some people, but for me, I love this stage. If I had to play on, if I had to pick out of a lot of stages, it definitely would be, most of the time would be floating continent. I love that stage. But viability. Yeah, I think I put it up there. In mine. Now, this is where the opinions might start getting a little spicy here. So lunar subterrane, I think it's like pretty close to dog shit. I don't like lunar subterrane at all. There's so many things I don't like about it. I think its maneuverability is garbage because there's all those fucking, how many times have you got HP'd because you're trying to like navigate through those fucking like ditches and shit like that, and your character just gets stuck and you just get hit, you know what I mean? It's like your character just stops. Like, it just, I don't know, it's like almost like the trip mechanic from Brawl. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So this stage, I think I don't like a lot. Like, I think it's trash. And I think it's trash for a number of reasons. Like, the maneuverability is bad. The obstacles are stupid. Like that little raised, like elevated, like shelf there. They don't make any fucking sense. It's ugly as fuck to look at. And then I just got done replaying Final Fantasy IV. When you look at all the stages they could have used in Final Fantasy IV, the fact that they use like the moon outskirts is just trash, and it feels fucking lazy. And I hate it. I hate it that this is Final Fantasy IV's rep. I felt they should have used like the Crystal Palace or the Underworld or fucking anything, dude. Anything but this. This is so fucking lazy. I hate it. It's kind of made up, man. I'll be honest with you. I do not like that stage. I think it's offensive in so many ways, but mostly because it's just a waste of a stage. It literally is just a waste of a stage slot. There's so many other things they could have done with it. And if you're going to pick that, like, it's just a boring, bland fucking stage, dude. Like, you can see the Crystal Palace in the background. That's cool. You can see the Lunar Well. That's cool. But like, it's just a fucking bland stage. There's no other way to put it. It's bad. It's ugly to look at. It's boring as fuck to play on. It's never hyped to play on that stage. I've never had a stage on Lunar and be like, holy shit, dude. Like, my dick is so hard right now. Like, that has never happened, ever. Super let down. Exactly what Supreme Tenant just said. Like, it's just, I don't know. Maybe if I wasn't a 4 fanboy and I hadn't played the game, maybe it wouldn't be that offensive. But after playing the game, that's the choice that they made. I hate it, dude. I think that's actually got to be, I think I'm gonna have to do it. I think it's I actually dislike playing that. I don't know. Maybe that and Cornelia are on the same level. Cornelia, I would actually rather play on Cornelia before I play on Lunar. There's like, Lunar is just like bland. It's not like super offensive. It's just like exists. You know what, guys? We're gonna have to put that stage in the pack, dog. We're gonna have to put Lunar Subterrane in garbage tier, and it's gotta be in the pack. There's just no other way around it. I just think that stage is fucking garbage. And this is gonna be a hot take. I already know. So stage 5. So for the uninitiated, stage 5 is Interdimensional Rift. I just got done playing Final Fantasy 5, maybe about a month or two ago. Really good game. And I actually really think that this game represented Interdimensional Rift quite well in comparison to what is in the game. It looks exactly the same. It's a smaller like area and stuff like that. Final dungeon of the game. But it's funny, when I was first coming into this community and everything like that, there was a lot of talks and speculation about banning this stage because they thought it was unviable. They thought it wasn't, you didn't get the same experience and everything like that. So there's a lot of discussion about just banning this stage. And as time went on, this actually ended up being one of my favorite stages. Like, this is one of my favorite stages to play on because I feel like this is one of those situations where you have an equal advantage as your opponent. You can go just as ham as your opponent is, and you just really have to outplay them. That's just how it is. Whoever gets the advantage and gets the momentum rolling first, and a lot of people don't like that. They don't like spaghetti. I don't really like shit. If I have to play Rift over and over and over again, I lose my fucking mind. But once in a scrim or something like that, or once in a casual session, I love it. Like Rift for me is like a S. Rift for me is actually like a S, dog. I just think that I love that stage. Even when you get your ass kicked, that thing Rift is pretty fun. It is literally just like I don't know how to put it. It's just like a wacky like fucking battle royale every single time. I think it's definitely S in my opinion. I think it's definitely good. Yeah, it definitely is. I love that stage. I think Rift is good, man. Rift is good shit. A lot of people don't like it because it's so gorilla as fuck, and that's fine. But I like it. I think it's a good stage, and I think it's fair. I think it's a fair plateau for both players, even if most people can't like get past the salt of like, oh my god, I got fucking wall rushed off one combo. Like, yeah, you did. Yeah, you got fucking wall rush from halfway across the stage. Yeah, that happened. You know what I mean? And I think Rift, I think that made me love Rift was playing Sephiroth. Like playing Sephiroth a lot made me love Rift. And it just made me appreciate Rift with every other character, not even playing him. I don't barely play him anymore. But just like even playing Shoot and stuff like that, I know a lot of Shoots hate it because you can get ran out so easily, but I like playing it as Shoot because you can pretty much search the whole fucking stage. As long as you are like within a certain proximity, you can press square and like pretty much save your opponent, save your teammate, the whole stage. Like what other stage can you do that? Like it's just a privileged stage for certain characters. And I think for people with hyper really good awareness, it is definitely a spoiled stage. It's a hot box. That's what I love about it. More stages need the heated space. Agreed. I think it's a really, really good stage. All right, moving on. Moving on to the probably the next worst stage in the fucking game, dude. Narsh. Narsh is just maneuverability fucking zero. It's so fucking bad. Look at this. You have elevation everywhere on this fucking stage. Everywhere. You have this low plateau. You have like these ever creeping like cliffs and boundaries, and it elevates all the way to the end. This stage is like 3 to 4 times bigger than it has any right to be. I don't know who created the stage, but it's way too fucking big. It is insanely big. It is just, there's so many things wrong with this. The obstacles are probably worse, tied for like Lunar for like the worst obstacles ever. And they just exist for no reason at all. You know what I mean? And I never played 6, but I've seen enough of the gameplay to know that they definitely could have picked something else. This shit is just gross. And I don't know how this stage how it made it through every iteration without getting patched. You know what I mean? Like they never fixed this stage. It just remained essentially almost virtually unplayable. I don't know anybody that's ever played on Narsh that was like, yo, I'm having a fucking blast. I think I actually might have to get the pack check. You know what? We'll throw Narsh in C for right now, this second. But I think it might, we'll see what happens with these other stages. But I think Narsh fucking sucks dick. I think it's terrible. Moving on, Midgar. Now, this is what I'll say about Midgar, guys. Is that Midgar experience changes completely depending on what platform you are on. If you're on PS4, it's trash. It will always be dog shit, and it's gonna be dog shit forever. Just because it can't handle the frame drops or anything like that, it just can't handle them. It's just trash. PS5 and PC is something else. Like you don't suffer as much for the frame drops. PC is like completely playable. Like if you have 6 people on PC, and you're trying to play Midgar, it feels like every other stage. It's pretty damn good. You might see a little bit of network lag depending on like, you know, summons and stuff like that. But I think that I actually would probably put this a bit higher than most people, if I'm being honest, because once you played it properly, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like, all right, so let's go through our list, right? Maneuverability, I think this is probably one of the worst maneuverability in the game, because the crevices, right? Trying to get in and out of the crevices, and just look at this, you know what I mean? Like, you can't even walk in a straight line here. It's just bad. You can't move freely on this stage at all. You have to be like aware 24/7 that you're not getting hit on an obstacle or something like that. The obstacles are all pretty bad too. They're not like this section has really bad obstacles, and on the other side with like the 4 like indents or whatever. Let me see if I can rewind back to. I don't know if we fought on that side. I think we did. Yeah, we did. So on this section, right, where you have the 4 like platforms or whatever you want to call them, that's also bad. Yeah, this is just like bad. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's like horrendous design. It just doesn't lend anything to like. It just exists, I guess, right? Like you can't really climb them. I guess you can kind of hide behind them. You know, it's just, I understand why they're there. It's just, I don't know, unappealing design, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know. Yeah, like and certain characters are just insane with their wall rush properties on this stage, especially like Vanguard's Vayne. I think Sephiroth does really good on this stage. Cloud, Snow, like any character that can like move around and like be there quickly. It's just, I don't know. Okay, so maneuverability is bad. I think this is one of the worst maneuverabilities. Obstacles, pretty bad too, because the obstacles are pointless. Like the ones that exist in the stage exist for no reason at all. Like these 4 platforms right here, that's fine. But then like out here, those platforms, why are they there? Like they exist for nothing. They're just like there for a visual aesthetic, but they make the overall playing experience worse. It's just bad. It's just so bad. It's if the stage's crevices were lower and not so wide, it'd be a heavy ass A. You see, like sometimes I don't mind playing on Midgard. Like I came in here thinking that it was gonna be a B hands down. I kind of had in my mind, man, that it was gonna be a B. But the more I'm thinking about it, and more I've had way more miserable games on Midgard than I ever have had good games, for sure. Yeah, I think we could put it in C, but this is the thing. This is the thing for me. There's no way in fuck that Midgard and Narsh can be on the same level. I know they're like equally hated, but in my eyes, they are worlds different. Like if somebody told me, hey, you gotta play on Midgard, I'll be like, all right. And somebody like, you gotta play on Narsh? I'll be like, dog, can we get a reroll? You know what I mean? Like, who could I talk to about rerolling this shit? Like, yeah, okay. We'll put it like, yeah, we'll do it there. Okay. Okay, good. Top of C now for Liz. Yeah, that's fine. We'll do that. All right, moving on to 8. So 8 is one that is like a lot of people have some mixed feelings about 8. Like they either think it's really good or they think it's shit. I am on the part that thinks it's really good. I think this is like an A for me easily. It's a flat terrain. There's a lot of edges, you know what I mean? But again, this is just like Rift. It applies for both sets of teams. So if you don't use your positioning correctly, you know what I mean? Of course, it's going to be a hellish match for you. But it's as fair as it gets. It's just a circular sphere, right? Like, what more do you want? You know what I mean? Like, there's no obstacles. I guess there's that little divot, right? There's a little divot. Sure, I guess, right? Oh, that's one thing. That's one thing I'm going to add. I remember what it was. A stage transition. Because that's important. Specifically for visibility. Stage transition when the stage is transitioning. Not like before and after, but just like overall. So I'm looking at this more of a lens from like competitive play, as opposed to just like free play or like ranked or something like that. I'm looking at these stages from the perspective of you have a proper team comp. Like you have a marksman, you have a vanguard, you have a speed. Like how does it play respectively for all 3 of those cast members, right? And I think for those 3, like maneuverability, obstacles, and size, I give all of those, like that's like all S's so far. The stage transition is pretty bad though. The stage transition is like a B. A very like raw fundamental stage. I think you really need to know your spacing, know your matchups, know all that stuff before you go into it. If not, then it's gonna be a hard time. First map that we were kind of like, in my opinion, greatly differs from your guys's. I think it's a good stage. I think it's a really brutal stage and unforgiving stage, because you can't fuck up. You can't fuck up on this stage at all. You can't misspace yourself. You can't. It's a brutal stage. I think this stage after 5, 9, and then 8, I think is the most brutal stages, because you can't fuck up on those at all, and the momentum is just too strong. It's just too. So it depends on how you feel about those stages, also. So I think we'll split the difference. I'm actually like fine with putting it in A, honestly. I think it's an A stage because it's just raw. It's just a raw stage, which is one of the worst stages ever. Alexandria. Okay, so this stage. Okay, so let's look at the map, right? So the map just is bad. Let's just get that out the way, right? And out of everything that they could have used for 9, I don't know why they use Alexandria, or why they just use this little section of Alexandria. Also doesn't make any fucking sense. Let's talk about maneuverability. This stage has the worst maneuverability ever. Whatever stage I said had worse maneuverability, I was wrong. It is this stage. Obstacles. Oh my God. You have fucking picnic benches that are indestructible. That will like completely like throw you off to the point where like you can't complete combos and shit like that. That's a 0. So both those things for me are in garbage tier for sure. Size, I think the size is fine. You know, if they wanted it to be a small stage, I guess, right? It's going to be a small stage. And the stage transition is pretty good. It's not that bad. It's pretty like, I wouldn't say, it's pretty forgivable. It doesn't slow the game down too much or anything like that. It's fine. Really? I didn't expect to see this many Bs. I was like really ready to put this in garbage juice tier. That's crazy. We're going to do this. All right, one of these two got to go in garbage juice tier. It's got to be Narsh or Alexandria. I am more inclined to pick Narsh, but I think that's going to pick Alexandria because I think Alexandria is poorly designed. It's just a fucking insane stage, honestly, in my opinion. Narsh or Alexandria? We'll put Narsh in the pack. Narsh has to get put in the pack. I think it has to. I don't think there's a way out of that one. That has to happen. Okay. So moving on, Besaid Island. So Besaid, in my opinion, is just like Cornelia, and it has all the same, well, not all the same flaws. It's entirely too big, right? But it has all the same issues that Cornelia has, right? It's entirely too big. If your spacing isn't good, if you aren't rotating correctly, you will quickly get, torn apart on the stage. They'll isolate you very, very easily. This just has too many issues. It's entirely too big. But you know what? I think this is one of the most visually pleasing stages, right? I love the way the stage looks. I feel like they definitely captured, how you would imagine this stage to look in HD graphics. So I like it. I like the way the stage looks a lot. I think it's pretty good. So maneuverability, it's a flat stage. It's a flat surface. You know what I mean? I think that's one's pretty straightforward, right? It's like, not really much else to say. There's a little crevice, there's a beach and stuff like that, but there's like no obstacles. No obstacles. I think maneuverability is good. The size is way too big. No homo. And stage transition, I think, is pretty negligible. So let's see what do we have for Besaid. A lot of people really dunk on Besaid and they hate Besaid. And I'm like, don't think it's horrendous. Yeah, Sunset Besaid is gorgeous. I think it definitely is one of the most visually arresting stages for sure. Yeah, I would definitely put it above Cornelia. I'm thinking like a B. Like, I don't think it's an A because it is like a big fucking stage, and when things go bad, it goes bad on that stage. So I don't think it could be. Yeah, I think I have this. I think that has to be with Pandemonium. Sometimes I really want to play on 11, and sometimes I want them to delete 11 from the game. I think 11 is like dog shit most of the time. It's a pretty good design stage though. I'm not mad at the design of it. I think the design of it is fine. I don't think it's bad at all, but it's like super hit or miss. I think it's really hard to be consistent on this stage, in my opinion. One of the stages that's most difficult to be consistent with, just because I don't know. There's a lot of walls. It has like that Midgard thing where there's walls everywhere. Like you get walled on this stage really easily, and in the elevation as well. It's pretty strange. Yeah. And the more I talk, the less things this stage has going for it, for sure. Yeah. I think I could count on one hand the amount of times I've like had a good time playing on Stellar Fulcrum. See, I don't mind playing on Stellar Fulcrum as a shoot, but this stage is really fucking gorilla like really quickly. Overall stage design, easily a S. It's pretty unique. There's no other stage that feels like it. It's pretty damn good as far as design. But to play on, I don't know about that one. Like playing on Stellar Fulcrum is never like a blast. It's never fun. It is like you really do need to like the brains needs to be on like initiated in order for you to enjoy that, I guess. But like maneuverability, I think maneuverability is weird on the stage. No real obstacles. I mean, there's that center like podium thing. The size is perfect, I think, and the stage transition is not bad. I don't know. To play, well, shit, it's probably behind Alexandria. I don't have like warm, friendly thoughts when I think of Fulcrum ever. I'm never like, let's go play on Fulcrum. But I'm never like, oh, fuck Fulcrum. Yeah, it's got to be a C. This is probably one of the first ones I think really actually belongs in C. It's probably at the top of C, though. It's probably at the top of C. I think it, you know what? I think this and Midgar play pretty much the same. Like, they're not ideal maps, but you can outplay your opponent on them. But I think it is difficult to be consistent on those maps just because of the way the maps are. It's hard in a lot of ways. I don't know. The map itself just becomes difficult. When the summon happens, though, and those little barriers get rid of, I think it's a much better stage for sure. Because you don't have nearly as much proximity to constant wall rushes. And that matters for sure. Yeah, this is a C. That's a C. Yeah, there's a lot of robbery that happens on that stage. I think that's one thing that I really, really don't fucking like. Is that I feel like a lot of times you just get robbed on that stage. And it's like, fuck, you just don't feel good about that, right? You can't walk away from like, damn, yo, that happened. That was good. You know what I mean? Like, no one feels good about that shit. Mad fuckery. Yeah, I think it's a C. I think that's a C. I'm not even mad at that. Moving on to 12. Final Fantasy 12. Robin Noster. So I'm gonna be super biased. I think 12 and 13 for me are like S. But let's use a scale though. So if we use a scale, maneuverability on 12 is pretty weird because you have those crevices and shit still. You have those little puddles. You have those annoying light poles. So maneuverability not so good for 12, honestly. Obstacles, the light pole, size is perfect, and the stage transition is also perfect. So the obstacles are pretty much a big takeaway on this one, in my opinion. Yeah, if you tell me Robin Noster is an S, I agree with that. I have Robin Noster at a perfect S. You see, the ones that are an S for me, like these are the ones that you can never like say you got hoed out on. You can never say you got hoed out on Robin Noster. You just lost. You know what I mean? Like the stage is big enough. There's enough way for you to position yourself where it's like you're not constantly, your back's not constantly to a wall. Like if you get walled a lot, you just got outplayed. You know, that's it. Maybe the steps are a little weird. You know, like those crevices with the steps. Those are maybe a little funky. But overall, I think the stage is super solid. Yeah. I think it's good. It's perfect. I have Robin Noster at an S for sure. And then Eden is my favorite stage in the game. So we will start at S, and I'm willing to hear arguments about it. I think Eden is perfect. So a few people might say it's a little too long horizontal wise. You know what I mean? Like fine, but it used to actually be longer. They actually trimmed it down from what it was in arcades. I think it's a perfect stage. It's a flat surface. You can get walled relatively easy, but it comes down to awareness, and that's more like quick hits, Army of One, Triumphant Grasp, or if you get hit by a fucking Vanguard, right, then you're fucked. You're gonna get walled. That's just all there is to it. Top of S, yeah. So for S, I have it like this. This is actually my S. I have Eden, Rift, and then Robin Oster. We have 14 Porta Decamana. So Decamana is like a different, is like Promise Meadow if you have verticality. That's pretty much the only thing here. So the thing with Decamana is those pillars in the corner play very weirdly. Like I think they're a little too high. I think the verticality on those pillars is a little too high. I've had some really fucking bonkers like interactions up there. Really strange shit. And I hate the stage transition. I think that this is one of the worst stage transitions in the whole game, for sure. But other than that, it's just a circular stage, right? It's just like fucking Promise Meadow. It's essentially Promise Meadow with higher vertical ceiling. I think it's fine. I think it's B for sure. Fantasy 15, Insomnia. Insomnia, I don't like. Visually, I think it's one of the best looking stages up there with Besaid, but the stage is like at least almost half as big that it has any right to be. I was gonna say 1/3, but it literally is like half as big as it needs to be. Each little quadrant is like almost a whole stage. It's like a whole rift. Like this little section here, that little section that we're playing in right there, that's like rift. So there's like 2 rifts almost. You know what I mean? Like, what? You know, and then it has like the weird shit with the steps, and also like it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't like the stage. I don't think I've ever liked the stage. Visually, I like the way it looks. I don't like playing on it. I never like playing on it. There is like interesting maneuverability that you can do, and I think the light poles are kind of a good touch. I always thought it was kind of funny as like, you know, these are like the strongest characters in like the Final Fantasy Pantheon, using the strongest spells of all time, and they can't break a fucking light pole. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers using Ultima and Holy, and it won't break a light pole. I always thought that was fucking hilarious. And this is like, when I see that happen in game, I'm always like laugh to myself. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But that's a tangent. This one is super hit or miss, but sometimes I have fun on it, but it's not a go-to stage for me at all. It's not a stage I would consider myself having fun. I play on it just to play on it, but it's way too big. So maneuverability, I think it's fine. There isn't really too many things on this stage to fuck you, as long as you position yourself properly. Obstacles, pretty much just light poles. Entirely too big for size, at least half as big as it has any right to be. And the stage transition is fine, I think. The thing about the stage is it's too big, but there's nothing like, yeah, the light poles are annoying. Yeah, the stairs are a little obnoxious, you know what I mean? But like, there's not really anything like too offensive about it, right? Like, if Insomnia was smaller, I think I'd like it. Thank goodness it's not an actual in-game size. Yeah, bigger than Narsh. Yeah, it is. You know what? I actually think this is where it needs to be. It needs to be at the top of C, because I think it is a better map than Stellar. I think both of those stages are immaculately designed, but they just made Insomnia too fucking big. But its design is good overall. You know, I don't think it's a badly designed outside of its being enormous. I don't think it's a badly designed stage. And I think Stellar Fulcrum is an immaculately designed stage. It's just weird. I just don't like playing on it because it has too many fundamental issues. Okay, let me get this out the way real quick, guys. Academia broke my fucking heart when it came out. Academia, I was an Ace main. I play Ace for all the tournaments. I practice them and all that shit. And his stages are revealed, and I never played Type 0. I actually just got done watching Soren play it. But I was like, this stage is not good for multiple reasons. Like the stage, let's just start with the stage transition. The stage transition It fucking, we'll have to rewind because we missed, no, there we go. The stage transition is just horrific. There's so many odd elements about this stage. The fact that there's craters everywhere in this stage that you can like get locked in is just so bad. Like there's so many issues with this stage. The light poles again, like these light poles. I don't know. The light pole budget definitely went up towards the end because they put light poles on every stage. It seemed like, and then yeah, I don't like it. There's too many like crevices and dips. There's way too many of those issues. Way too many of them for this one. I think it's fine. I think you can move fine on this stage, except for the maybe, yeah, I guess you can. The obstacles are like, I don't know, like the obstacles are just like gross. They're not just bad, they're like fucking horrendously bad, dude. These are like some of the worst obstacles in the game. Like that like truck or whatever that's like in the middle of the stage. Oh my god, dude. There's just, I think this is the worst stage for obstacles. They're so bad, man. When I say obstacles, I'm talking about the holes in the ground, man. That's the shit I'm talking about. The shit in the center of the stage. Like that thing, why is that thing there? You know what I mean? Like, why? When I say obstacles, that thing right there, why is that thing there? These like things, there's holes on the ground. Like this is what I'm talking about. And I understand I've never played Type 0, but I guess it's supposed to be some type of battlefield, right? That makes sense. But like, it's just like when you have to play in it, it's just gross. Fine, you know, it looks good, I guess, but it's just disappointing in so many ways, honestly. Oh man, damn, just talking about that stage got me tight, actually. I'll be honest with you. That stage is, that might actually be garbage juice. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Academia gets a pack check. I think it gets it. I think that stage has like little to no redeeming qualities at all. At all. It's, I'm not gonna say it's too big. It's all right, I guess. Yeah, it has too many fucking issues, dude. Way too many issues. And then Orban Monastery, from one of the best Final Fantasies ever put to film. The stage for reference. I think it's pretty good. It maneuverability, I think this is one of the weirder stages to maneuver on. Because there's no consistent, like there's a lot of elevation issues, right? You have the water pits, you come up, you have the ground, then you have the stone surface, and then off to the side you have like the dock and stuff like that. Maneuverability, not so great. You have to be pretty aware about where you're putting your character because it's easy for you to fuck yourself in this stage without even knowing it. Maneuverability, I don't have too high for this one. Obstacles, pretty much non-existent. Size, I think is perfect. This is almost like a scale to model one. This is a perfect one. The stage transition is pretty good. Orban, Beware, and A. I think Orban is better than Promised Meadow. I don't think it's better than Floating Continent though. I think these are these are tied almost. Floating Continent and Orban, I think, are like hand in hand. Promised Meadow is a little too gorilla to be at the top of A. If you misstep something on Orban, you're getting fucked, dude. Or if you just pick a bad 1v1 to do, like I would not want to 1v1 a Xenos or a Cloud or a Sephiroth. Or characters that just have a fuck ton of range. Like Xenos has unblockables. You don't want that on a stage that has a lot of walls. Sephiroth has crazy normals. You don't want that on a stage that has a lot of walls. Cloud has charges. You don't want, you know what I mean? It goes on, right? That's a death pit right there, man. That's where dreams go to die. So it definitely has this gorilla aspect, but I think overall, Promised Meadow overall is way more gorilla, right? So I like this. And then there was one. Final Battlefield. I think it was a terrific addition to this game. Essentially just like our version of Final Battlefield from Melee. So I think we will start with a B here. See, the thing with Final Battlefield is it's fine. maybe a little too big. It's an honest stage. They have those pillars and stuff like that, give you a little bit of verticality, but it's pretty much a straight shot. You know what I mean? It's like a different version of, it's like Meadow with pillars and a little bigger. This definitely is a, I don't have a lot of success on this map though. I get fucking clapped on this stage. I don't know why. I get beat up on this stage like a lot, dude. I think I even lost in the scrim in this stage. Yeah, we did lose. It's just, I don't know what it is. I don't, you have to position yourself quite well, and I just get beat up on the stage for some reason, dude. Like a lot. That doesn't mean I think it's a bad stage. I think that it definitely is an A, right? I think it's definitely an A, right? Regarding all the stages in Final Fantasy Dissidia NT, and this is ultimately what we ended up with, right? So for S tier, top of S tier. So we did do these by rank also. So top of S tier, we have Eden, which I think universally is the love stage. Everybody loves Eden. It's a pretty fair stage. Wall rushes can be a bit yikes, but it's a pretty fair stage. I had Rift at S for sure. I thought Rift was just godlike. I love Rift. Win or lose, you know what I mean? I just think that it's one of those things where it's like X Factor. And Robo will know what I'm talking about. Nabani, a few of you guys will know what I'm talking about. X Factor was from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and it was a completely busted mechanic. But guess what? Both teams had access to the completely busted mechanic. So it makes it the same. You know what I mean? Where it's whoever positions themselves best, gets their shit off first, is going to be rewarded. So I think Rift is fair. Rift is an S for me because it is guerrilla as fuck, but it's hype every single time. Maybe the only time Rift isn't hype is when people are using like triple melee. That's not hype. That's fucking boring. Because that's just like a little too unfair maybe. And then we had the other one in S. We had Robin Oster. Robin Oster we had an S because we just thought that it's a good stage. It's a solid stage. It's not too big. The only real thing that we had as a mark off for that was the light poles. And the light poles not so good. It's an A for me. I'm glad to hear that, Vectra, because a lot of people were like, oh, fucking Rift. I don't want to play on Rift. I like playing on Rift. I don't care if I get my ass kicked on Rift. It's kind of like one of those coin tosses. You might demolish them. They might demolish you. It's fun. It's fun on both sides of the coin to me, in my opinion. Okay, so moving on. Those are what we had for S tier, right? Moving on for A, we have Floating Continent, which I think is a terrific stage. One of my favorite stages, but it's one of those stages that you never really hear too much praise for Floating Continent, and you never really hear too much hate for Floating Continent. Like, I've never heard anybody like, fucking Floating Continent, dude, why we gotta play on this stage? I never heard anybody like really rip into Floating Continent, you know what I mean? There's some little like weird aspects, you know, with some of the interaction and stuff like that, but I think it's a very solid stage. It's a good stage. And it rewards you properly. If you get the advantage in the stage, it's really easy to really capitalize on it. So we had Floating Continent at A. Orban we just went over. We explained that, as well as Final Battlefield. We just explained those. Not going to rehash those. Very fundamentally solid stages. It's kind of hard. Maybe Orban more so than Final Battlefield, but you can't really say you got hoed out on those stages. You can't really say, oh, fucking stage just fucked me over. Maybe on Orban, but you didn't start there, you know, on the map. Like, you kind of got walked into that little death pit, you know, the back alley of Orban where like the murder happens. That's kind of the guerrilla part of Orban, right? Final Battlefield is completely good stage. Pillars are good. I think it's all good. Now, this is interesting. We had a bit of a longer discussion when it came to Promised Meadow. A few people had pretty strong opinions about it. Some people think it's guerrilla. They don't like it. I like it. It's one of those stages, just like, that's a stage like your fundamentals need to be there, Chief. As far as where you pick your engagements, where you pick to go in, when you fall back, when you recycle with your team, that's one of the stages, one of the worst stages to be caught out in open. Because I think it's one of the stages to get easily collapsed on, honestly, more than a lot of other stages. There's wall rush potential pretty much everywhere. It can be a very brutal stage. You have to pick your one-on-ones very, very, very critically. As a marksman, you have to know when to stop pressing buttons. If you're near the fucking wall, it's easy to get wall rushed. It's a good stage. I think it's a very fundamentally sound stage. Faded and Pandemonium, I think, are perfect beat maps. They're middle of the road. They are what they are. You can win on them. You can be successful on them. You can get clapped on them. You know what I mean? I don't think that either one of them are designed for you to lose, honestly. And Porta Decamana, I think, is completely fine. Porta Decamana, wherever you want to, like, honestly, if you wanted to put Porta Decamana here and put Meadow down, that's fine also. I think that they're solid stages either way. And they're fair stages. Well, maybe Decamana way more than Meadow, honestly. And then moving on to C, we have Final Fantasy 15 stage Insomnia, which is entirely too big. Has those insane fucking light poles. We just didn't like it. It's way too big. Those little crevices that you like, pits, are like the size of like are the same size of like Alexandria and like Rift. Like those are entirely too big for that stage to be considered viable, in my opinion. A fucking Golbez, an Emperor, will lose their fucking mind on Besaid. It literally, like, you just get hit by like 3 projectiles, that motherfucker's at killing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just insane. Golbez, dog. Stellar Fulcrum, more than like Alexandria, is more apt to like actually piss me off and like make me salty. I'll actually go this far. Stellar Fulcrum, more than Midgar, Alexandria, and now I'm not gonna say Narsh. Narsh pisses me off every time, but definitely it has a propensity to just completely like make me want to stop playing the game. Amelia at a B or Garbage Juice, I would agree with both of those. I think it slides in that scale, but it could never be an A, and it damn sure could never be an S, in my opinion. It could definitely be Garbage Juice, and it could definitely be a B, depending on your play style. Yeah, Vectia. So Alexandria was the one that you guys actually changed my opinion on. Like, Alexandria actually had at like a fucking definitely ready to come in here and say that Alexandria was de facto Garbage Juice, 100%, no debate. But it seemed like you guys kind of like a few elements of it. I kind of probably personally still have it in Garbage Juice. Like, this Garbage Juice ones, those ones. Lunar Subterranean is fucking boring as fuck. That shit is bland. That's like eating a bowl of rice every day. Every day. You just eat the same bowl of rice all the time. Like, that's what that's like. The stage looks ugly. I am ashamed that they picked Lunar Subterranean of all the maps they could have used for Final Fantasy IV. They have such like depth that they could have pulled from, and these motherfuckers literally just picked the most boring shit ever. It doesn't play well. It has weird ledges and rocks, and it's just shit. I think Lunar Subterranean is complete shit. Like, I just think it's horrifically bad. It's bad. Narsh, I think, has to be gutter trash. It is such a bad stage. It's entirely too big, and it's a sin that they use that stage to represent Final Fantasy VI. Like, it's just boring as fuck. And in Academia, we went over that a little bit ago. I'm not going to rehash that, but it's entirely too big. They have random fucking items everywhere in the stage, crazy divots and shit like that. It is just garbage. It's just ass gas, dude. It's just bad. This is, so I think we'll do this, right? And then we'll kind of sign off with this. We'll put Alexandria in Garbage Juice, and I'm actually fine with putting Cornelia in B. But it's definitely the weakest of the B's. If you put Cornelia in B, it's got to be a B-. It's like the weakest of the B's for sure, in my opinion. Yeah, like, I think those 4 are like the sins, right? You don't ever want to get those 4. These stages are never fun. That stage ain't fun. This stage ain't fun. This stage ain't fun. That stage is definitely not fun. These are stages that you play because there's a gun to your head. Those are the only time you want to play those stages. That's it. It's a finalized list. I will have this up on my YouTube. I'll probably try and chop this up tomorrow and stuff like that. Part of the reason I wanted to do this, guys, was I wanted to get more, obviously, back into streaming, right? I haven't really streamed nearly as much as I used to, because I just haven't really been playing this game. So I'm just kind of trying to look for avenues to create content that doesn't necessarily involve me sitting and playing Dissidia for 4 hours. And there's a lot of great discussion topics, that can be had about this game that aren't necessarily, okay, let's sit and play for 5 hours in the lobby. You know what I mean? So I think there's a little bit of content left. I'm also going to do, the 5 things we want from the next Dissidia game. We'll do those next 2 projects. So I think that, yeah, we have a pretty good road ahead. I'm not giving up completely on Dissidia, just am kind of working on other projects and stuff like that. So I'm going to try and do more things like this, right? More things where it's more interactive, where I can talk to you guys, get your opinion, we can discuss it live, and just kind of make some content out of that. I think that's pretty cool.